don't even know where to begin, honestly. I guess I could start with saying hello. Peace and love to you wherever you are as you're receiving this. I am currently dog sitting for my mother. Her and my sister are in Puerto Rico right now. I'm Puerto Rican, in case you didn't know. So I'm very excited for them to be there. So I've been dog sitting for the last couple of days, which means that I'm not in the typical environment that I'm used to being in. It's also quite cold, which is why I look like this. And I don't really have winter clothing. And she likes to keep the house cool because one of her dogs has a lot of fur. This is all a tangent to get me onto my main point. I just want to say thank you to everyone who still is following my journey and kind of just riding these waves of change with me. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting and supporting the things that I share on here. I basically wanted to get on here because it's been a minute since I've spoken, and it almost feels like there's so much stuff that I like receive and download from spirit on a daily basis that I would be making videos like every day, and I don't know if like I just have like some kind of block to making daily videos. But truly, I like feel like since the last time I've made a video and posted on here, there's been so much that has occurred that I feel would be fruitful to share with others for their own journey, for your own journey, as well as just also continuing to chronicle everything that comes through, because I feel and trust that as I speak about when I get intuitive insights and hits, that it allows you to create your own personal connection with how you get your intuitive insights and hits and downloads. I have a scarf on and I put my locks on the top of my head because I'm trying to help them to grow and stretch, so that's why I look a little alien right now. But that works because some of the things I'm going to be talking about probably will seem quite alien. And so this is what I've been going through, and I'm kind of just talking about it because I feel like you guys will understand, and I trust that those who are sharing in space with me, each individual one of you, is because you're like, I understand what you're going through, or I know how you feel. Yep, I've been there. Oh, I hope everything goes well for her. So I'm just gonna continue to move forward with that thought process. So to try and bring a lot of things that have been happening into one core culmination, a lot of it, funnily enough, boils down to astrology, but then expands out into so many other areas outside of astrology. So a lot of the things that I've experienced lately have happened because I decided to open a book, and I highly recommend opening a book versus reading on your phone. A lot of times when I'm on my phone, I am reading and researching. I'm not just like scrolling, I'm like learning something. But I really find a lot of value in learning from a book. And so I recently was reading Edgar Cayce's Secrets of Astrology, and he has another book. All of these books I was reading about the downloads he would receive. And Edgar Cayce, if you don't know who he is, was known as the Sleeping Prophet. He was basically very psychic, clairvoyant. He could go into a meditative state and access the Akashic records, and then he would do readings for people for many years. He has an ARE center in Virginia, in the state I currently live in, which I thought was kind of interesting. And as I was reading the book, he was speaking on all of these things that you can look at in the birth chart, things you can learn about where your last sojourn for your soul was before you came onto earth. So like whatever's closest to your ascendant or closest to your midheaven point, whatever planet is closest. Then you also put in for Arcturus as well. You can tell where your soul just came from, what lessons it learned as it came back to earth. And so for me, I have Neptune, Uranus conjunct my ascendant right on my first house. So I was like, okay, so did I come from both of them? And then I was like, well, Neptune is the earlier degree than Uranus, so maybe I left from Neptune, took a little Uranus with me, and then brought it here. So I was learning about that, and then I was like, well, wait. And so then I was like, what about in Vedic astrology? Because in sidereal Vedic astrology, the stars are charted by where the star is actually at in the sky, versus in tropical astrology, where the ecliptic is moving on the tropics and the equinoxes, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, etc., and so on. This led me to doing a lot of research with KRS astrology, I thought, and I haven't fixed this yet, but I thought that I had this link in my description box for so many years, and I haven't spent the time to go and fix it yet. I should probably do that. Where I said, check out the beings that I subscribe to, and it was supposed to be a link because it used to, doesn't let you do it anymore. Share a link to see all the people you subscribe to, because those are people I learned from, and so I wanted you guys to be able to follow them. But one of the people I had on that list was KRS Astrology, but it was one of his videos with Santos Bonacci. That completely blew my mind and shifted a lot of things in my perception of reality. I will probably save it to my spiritual toolbox playlist because I could probably do that. But as I was retrieving the information from that, then it made me question even more, because then in Vedic astrology, my signs are completely different. Planets are in different sections of the house. I was getting all discombobulated, right? So one of the gifts that I asked for, I know this is all over the place, but basically just kind of updating you on what's happening in my life right now so we can move forward and more knowing. So one of the Christmas gifts I asked for this year, I usually don't ask for anything for Christmas, but I was like, this year, you know what? I think this could be really beneficial. So I asked everyone to help pitch in so that I could purchase a reading from Bami Spirit. I've been following her for a number of years now, and I always feel very deeply connected to the way in which she channels, and what comes through her really resonates for me. And I've had this difficulty in reading my own chart or ascertaining some kind of intuitive knowing of which one to go with, especially, and I'm saying this in case you might look at yours. Mine is really confusing because I have a Capricorn rising at 19 degrees starting my chart, but then it goes all the way through to Aquarius, and then my second house starts at 0 degrees Pisces. And in Vedic, the houses are, the planets are in the same spot, but the houses are different. And so a planet that was in my first house moves to my second, which means I could have Saturn natally in my first house, or Saturn transiting my second. Saturn puts restrictions and a lot of hard work and time into whatever area of your house it's in. And for me, Saturn in the first resonates, and I watched a bunch of videos this weekend. I was like, yeah, I feel like I've been through that. But then I watched Saturn in the second, I'm like, that kind of resonates too. But where Saturn currently is, I'm entering a Saturn return, so it's either returning in my first house or it's returning in my second house. In one of the Vedics, in equal houses, it's returning in my third. So I've been very confused, and I like to move forward with some knowledge of the stars. And with this knowledge that I'm going to be receiving from her reading, I really want to get some guidance on the best time to maybe travel. And this is one of the big things I wanted to talk about with you as you've been following my journey, is this call to leave Virginia. This call that my time in Virginia is done. I've had enough time in this space and state that I know it doesn't resonate for me. I've done the light gridding that I've needed to do here. I've shared my energy in the way that I was called to share it. I feel that my contract is kind of cleared and done here. And if you have been following me, then you know that my partner and I just recently took a trip to Texas. We never made it all the way to California, which made me really sad for him. Maybe Saturn is in my second house, and then we had to come back. And on the way back, I was trying to figure out what to do, because you guys, and probably Neptune being on my first house, I was like, oh no, it's, in one of my previous videos, I was like, I'm gonna win the lottery, we're gonna be fine, blah, blah, blah. Very not realistic. And so on the way back, I was like, I didn't even want to come back to Virginia. I was like, I don't want to come back. I'm so done. Feeling so gypsy-like. Was really dumb and didn't want to come back to Virginia, but I knew we were going to. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm only going to mope and cry for 10-30 seconds, and then I start going into planning mode. But as a projector in human design, a splenic projector, but most specifically just a projector, I'm supposed to wait for an invitation for major moments in my life, i.e. who to love, where to live, what work to do. And so as I was thinking, oh, what can I do for work? What can I do for work? It's ultimately me pressing out into the universe to try and figure out what to do, because I haven't necessarily cultivated the ability to sit in feminine receptivity and to receive that. There's a video that I'm going to make separate to this, though, about some information I retrieved from my guides about being a projector, but even outside of projectors, just what human design can assist us in doing here. And so, as I sat with all of this information, I did get invited, technically, as a projector. My partner, as I was looking and scrolling for work, because I was like, well, I got to do something. I got to do something. You know, I thought we were going to win the lottery. I thought the channel was going to grow and I was going to be able to bring in abundance through the YouTube channel. I thought I was going to do it through Patreon. There are all these different avenues I had tried to bring in abundance and flow into my life, and none of them have been working. None of them have, I haven't reaped the fruits of any of those. And I can't say that I've necessarily been like trudging really hard to have it grow in any of those arenas. And that could be a large portion of why they haven't grown. But a lot of what I feel, especially too, when it comes specifically to YouTube, is more or less like learning to not expect it to bring in a stream of income, but rather just making it a platform in which to share truth, which to share my own experiences, and allowing it to be fruitful and abundant and beneficial in different ways. So my partner brought up woofing, and I was like, woofing, what is that? And it's the worldwide work on worldwide organic working worldwide on organic farms. Thank you. Working worldwide on organic farms. And essentially what you do is you can travel around the world, choose places on the map. It shows you the whole map, and it'll show you places, farms that have posted their farms where they need assistance with things on the farm. And in exchange for you assisting them with helping on the farm, you have a place to stay and food to eat, but they don't pay you. But that's the work exchange. I was like, I like that. That resonates. And so you may or may not know, I didn't really make a big video about it. I edited a video about it and then didn't post it because I think I was just so sad that I still wasn't there. But when my partner and I went to Kauai, I made a whole video, and I knew when we left the Aina that I didn't want to leave. I was like, no, this feels like home. I need to be here, but more specifically, not even there. I need to be near water, like warm water that I can get in and be around. And even in the Edgar Cayce book I read, it said people with heavy Neptune placements would do well to sit by large bodies of water to connect more to their psychic receptivity. I was getting all these little confirmations. And so I looked, and there are opportunities on the Aina there. And I was sitting with that. I was like, okay, so there's some cool little farms on Maui that I saw. And I picked that Aina outside of Kauai because Kauai was the least populated, seemed a little bit more difficult to travel to, places I might want to go to, and I'm not expected to work at the farm. And Maui had a nice mixture of farm, but still public life, I guess you could call it. Kauai is the oldest and smallest, so I was trying to pick one a little bit more. Let me try and, engage with the world and have experiences with other people. And so, are you okay, Lilo? Her name's Lilo, by the way. And so I found a place, and I was like so ready to go. Like the second I read, I was like, oh, I gotta go right now. I gotta go before the end of the year. It's too cold. I can't do cold. I don't like cold. I know I don't like cold. If I don't like cold, why am I here? But holding a space in the part of my life that I'm in now, and so having some patience, and also recognizing I have like $0 in my bank account. I've been so extremely blessed, and you know what? The more I'm talking, it really just feel like Saturn is in my second house. So maybe I can look at my astrology, but 0 in the bank. But I've been doing, a dog sit for my mom when she travels. I get some abundance that way. My partner does landscaping. I've been trying to find a way, especially when you share a vehicle, to find new ways to create abundance and flow. So I've really just been so blessed that we have a place to stay, we have food to eat, we don't have to travel far. Where we live is a small town, so I just don't really go anywhere. I just stay in the house. But I long to be outside. I long to commune with nature. I long to commune with the water. I long to commune with Gaia. I long to be out and just experiencing beauty through Earth. And so I was like, Maui seems like the perfect way to do it. But it's about finding a way to get there and trying to figure out all these little layers of when to go, how to go, why to go. So none of that is solidified yet, but it's definitely something that called to me. But, and this is where I'm going to close it out because I don't want to be super long. One of the most impactful, two, three, four, five most impactful things that happened over this weekend was I watched a couple documentaries. Some were giving me confirmations as to like sharing a lot of what I desire to share with other people in a way in which they'll receive it is through singing, through storytelling and song, and allowing the lyrics and the sound to resonate into someone else's chamber and for them to be able to download and receive it and then integrate and apply it in their own way. Instead of just being like, I think you should do this, or I think this is good, and just like, instead, sitting and creating like a very intentional thought process about something and then sharing it. That's something that came up from one documentary, and then two other documentaries that I've recently watched. And if you follow me on Instagram, I kind of got real vocal about them on there because I was like, well, these are the only people who will hear what I have to say are on my social media platforms, because I don't have a lot of like people in my physical life. They're usually all through technology. And I watched Seaspiracy and Chasing Coral, and I felt really called. I've been getting called to water. I've been getting called from the Pleiades, from the Muria, from the Arcturians, from the Mintakans. I've been getting called to the water. Water, water, water. That's like been the message in every single place that I sit and meditate and guide myself to. What comes through is always water based. So I watched these documentaries and I was so heartbroken, still heartbroken, and very frustrated and upset, because it's one thing to like just be ignorant to something that's happening and to feel like your focus should be, oh, I really want to help the trees. They're cutting down so many trees. Look at all these parking lots. It's so polluted. We need to plant hemp. Let's restore the soil. Let's bring in more oxygen. Let's store the CO2 in the plant. Hemp being the real answer to all of that. But then recognizing in Seaspiracy and Chasing Coral that the ocean is doing so much of the heavy lifting we're not even conscious of, because we don't ever really see the water. And so I watched these, and so many dolphins are dying, so many whales are dying. The guy, it was an individual guy, he went out with his partner and they went and recorded all these different places and tried to speak to certain companies that, like water-based companies, and ask them on their websites, like, don't use plastic, get this and that. And like the number one thing he found out through these things was that actually fishing is one of the worst things for the ocean, because there's these huge, huge ships with huge, huge nets that scrape across the floor of the ocean, that instead of just catching the one fish they want to catch dolphins, catch whales, catch other sea life, and then they die, and then they just throw them out to sea because they're dead in their catch. In places in Japan where people literally kill the dolphins, they circle them into coves and murder them because they say that they take all the fish away, but they don't. They weren't killing them because they said they eat all the fish that they try to sell. It is because they catch so much of this one type of tuna fish, and to account for how much they catch without saying that they are the ones endangering the species, say it's because of the dolphins. All of this was highly upsetting to me, and I just kept thinking, like, okay, what can I do? And to me, nothing else in my life, all the things I just talked to you about for the last 15 minutes, if you're still listening, thank you. All the little things that I just talked about, to me, mean nothing at all, are meaningless little just issues that I have in my life compared to what the experience is for the ocean right now, what it is for the animals in the ocean. And in the Chasing Coral video, the coral, I didn't even know coral was a living creature. I didn't even recognize that coral was alive and was an animal, and that it was dying, and that it's been bleaching, and that so much of the pollution in the air gets received by the ocean. The ocean takes on so much of the pollution, and the ocean's getting sick, and the ocean is dying, so the coral is dying, so the fish are dying because they have nowhere to live, and then since the fish die, the bigger fish can't eat those fish, and then everything in the ocean is just dead. To me, that's highly upsetting, and a lot of the companies in these documentaries didn't have a clear answer as to why. The one thing on their website that they didn't list was don't eat fish, or support, I want to say support local fishermen. Don't eat, don't purchase fish because it's one of the biggest ways that the ocean is being harmed. None of the companies, and some of the companies that he had listed were like from, like one company owned that company, and that main company wasn't even for fish life. So they just bought out, made a fake company to continue to support their main agenda. And then they had this one place, I'm gonna make this real short. They had this one place that they went to, marine, oh, I forgot the name of it, but apparently it's this blue tick that you can see on your tuna that tells you if it's safe and healthy. It says dolphin safe tuna, and the guy literally said they can't confirm that it's dolphin safe. He's like, so then why do you put that it's dolphin safe on the can? He's like, well, because it's dolphin safe tuna. And the just, it hurt my head, it hurt my heart, it hurt my soul. And if you follow me for long enough, you know that I'm a starseed, and most likely you're a starseed too. And it's been very clear to me over this weekend and the last week that my mission is for the water, is for speaking for the waters, trying to help heal the waters, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. And I think through maybe song and storytelling, but also getting on beaches, making videos on beaches, doing did you knows. If you have any ideas for me about ways in which you're an advocate for whatever you're an advocate for and how you do it, please let me know, because I'm trying to generate some kind of creativity train on ways in which I can be the best advocate for supporting local fishing, not purchasing any fish products, trying to get this message out. I messaged a couple people, famous people, on Instagram that I know in the spiritual community. I messaged Activation Vibration, Water Priestess, Earth Mama Medicine. Water Priestess responded back. She responded back to something else I said too. She responded back and told me she has actually made a post about Seaspiracy, encouraging people to watch it. So I really thanked her for that. I didn't get a response from the other two beings, but I usually don't. And so if you have any people you want to share these documentaries with, or you haven't watched it, please, I really recommend you watch it, just to get your own visual. Like, it's different when someone tells you, oh my gosh, this was so sad and it really hurt my heart to see this, and then to see it. And unfortunately, for most humans on Earth, that's what we need. You can tell someone over and over again something has happened. Like, my best analogy for this is like, someone's like, oh, he was attacked by a bear. You might imagine when someone says they got attacked by a bear that, like, you know, the bear swiped him and he died. But in reality, I watched this movie where someone got attacked by a bear, and bears, when they attack you, they don't like hit you once and you're dead. They maul you. Like, they kind of like play with their food. So like in the movie, the bear like poked him and then like bit his leg and pulled him and then walked away, and they came back. And so there's a completely different experience from hearing saying, oh yeah, he got attacked by a bear, and then having an understanding of what that is. So to hear, oh, they're killing dolphins and killing whales, like, yeah, you're probably still upset at hearing that. But to see it, I was like bawling my eyes out. Because they're so helpless, they can't speak, they can't defend themselves, and we have just like, if I would not be upset if humans were going into the ocean and getting eaten by sea creatures. I would not, honestly, with how we were treating them and treating the ocean, treating Gaia. I don't understand how they're such kind and benevolent creatures still to not attack us for what we do to them. So that's one of the main biggest things that's come through, as well as a lot of stuff with Electra, specifically from the Pleiades, the Electra star system within the Pleiades. I'm going to make a separate video about my experience going to Electra and the things that they shared with me. Electra had just been coming up a lot in my own life, hearing Electra, seeing Electra, always wanting to get an amber crystal, and I kept losing it every time I bought one. And then looking up and finding out Electra is the Greek word for amber. And then just all these little things, all these little confirmations. And so I feel, I'm going to close it out. I've been feeling like, okay, well, if I go to Maui, perfect, I can go there. And then I thought, oh my gosh, so many people eat fish on Maui. Like, that's one of the main things. But maybe they're supporting local fisheries. I don't know. I might have to be one of those people that you don't like to see when you go on vacation. You know what I mean? You're going to like an island, you just want to have a good time, and then you see someone who's like, support local fishing, you're killing the dolphins and whales, and then they're like, don't ruin my vibe. Oh my god, I'm trying to have a good time. Don't tell me the truth. I might have to be one of those people. So yeah, I'm just, cultivating a plan. But the most recent thing I've been watching to get ideas, I was looking at videos about Maui, and it's starting to like not resonate, but I know I need to be near water, and I want to be near warm water. So I also kind of want to be off of the North American continent for a while. Just something telling me to like get off of it for a little bit. So yeah, a lot has been going on. I've just been trying to sit still enough to like allow things to come to me, but also keeping in mind Saturn, if it is in my second house, is going to make it real difficult to bring in a physical abundance. And so maybe it would be best to work on a farm, because then the exchange isn't financial currency, it's just literally like a bartering system, which I feel we should be moving to anyway. So yeah, these are the things that have been happening. I feel like that's everything I wanted to say. Yeah, definitely check out Seaspiracy and Chasing Coral. Try not to buy fish or support your local fishermen. Share the information on your platforms. Let me know if you have any recommendations for how I can be a better advocate for the water, for ocean, for Gaia. I will be sharing transmissions on here. I will start singing. I will start doing all these things that I haven't been sitting and doing. Also, I found out, this is where I'll close it out, Electra, when I looked her up, said she was an Oceanid in the Greek mythology. She was an Oceanid, I shit you not, you can Google it, who was a companion to Persephone when she was on the waters before she got abducted by Hades. Just lots of interesting things are coming up, and so I will be working more with Electra and taking time to clear my vessel to be a clear channel for transmissions that come through in that way. So I'm just kind of keeping you updated on the live. Thank you for listening and receiving. I trust that this has been somewhat... Oh, this is my last thing, I swear. Okay, so now from here on out, I've also learned a lot of the time when I get on here, I share like all these things that are happening with me. And after I watched Seaspiracy and Chasing Coral, I was like, how selfish am I to like get on my YouTube channel and be like, this is what's happening in my life, and this, and then I'm doing this. I'm just like, I am using my platform not in the way that I should be using it. If I'm saying I want to use this platform for good, then really what needs to happen is less of like, okay, so this is what's happening in my life, and being more like, okay, so this is my plan. This is what I'm gonna do. These are the action steps that I'm taking, and sharing more of that instead of like just things that are happening. So this is like the last video you're gonna see of me sitting and just saying like, this is what's been happening, and I've been thinking about this. Maybe sometimes on a live and you guys just check in and I'll be like, hey, this is what's going on. But for the most part, from here on out, it's going to be, okay, I'm sharing a transmission, I'm sharing a song, I'm sharing what I'm going to do to make a difference, I'm sharing things that I'm learning, and if not here, then on Instagram. But I just keep struggling with Instagram. I don't know if I like it. So yeah, I trust that you are finding the ways in which you want to be an advocate for Gaia. I will be making a separate video about the very first acid trip that I had, because on that acid trip is where I like basically got my message about being an advocate for the water, and it's taken me literally 2 years later to implement it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Leave comments for advice, suggestions, anything that you feel like leaving in a comment, please feel free to do so. Like it, share it, or not even share this, is share the Seaspiracy, Chasing Coral. All I want for Christmas is for people to watch that. Like literally, just watch it, please. It will change you, and then it'll make all of your other problems seem so insignificant. Okay, I'm done talking. Thank you for listening. Until next time, as always, I am sending you peace and love.